Welcome to Beyond Disruption, where you'll learn how emerging tech is changing the world of accounting, business, and finance. Our guest experts break down the latest news in everything from blockchain to robotics, artificial intelligence to human intelligence. Tune in to find out how you can stay ahead of the curve.
Hello, I'm Sam Watson from the Professional Development Team at the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. On January the 31st, 2019, at the Future of Finance Festival in London, the association launched the 2019 CIMA Professional Qualification and the updated CGMA Competency Framework designed to help management accountants and their employers understand the knowledge requirements and assess the skills needed for both current and desired roles. During the launch, Dr. Noel, the Executive Vice President of Management Accounting, Research and Curricula at the Association, who is responsible for enhancing the quality of CIMA's qualifications and providing world-class thought leadership through rigorous research, delivered a presentation on how digital disruption is driving radical transformation of the finance function. You can now listen to that presentation as a special Friday Focus episode of our Go Beyond Disruption podcasts. For more information, see the links in our show notes or go to cimaglobal.com/future.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to welcome you and to speak to you about the kind of things that we've done. We've titled it Reinventing Finance in a Digital Age, and you see why so far. I'm not speaking about my opinions. We've gone around the world, spoken to people, polled people, well over 5,500 people, finance professionals, and some non-finance professionals took part in our polls and surveys, 2,000 organizations in almost every country in the world. We've produced material that we invite you to have a look at. And today we're also producing a white paper called Reinventing Finance for a Digital World. And we encourage you to look at it, read it, engage with it, talk about it to other people. Now, what I want to do today is to talk about four main things. It's changes in the business world that is making these things happen. The challenges that the finance function faces and its response to that. The skills and competencies that finance people need, and then our CIMA professional qualification as an answer to the skills need for those ones. So changes in the business world. We hear about fast-paced and unpredictable disruption in the business world. So it makes managing almost managing on the edge of chaos. This used to be the exception. Now it is the norm. And it's driven by geopolitics and globalization, demographic changes, customer empowerment, and technology. You just heard Jason trying to remember what kind of film or what kind of channel it was, and he alluded to that demographic changes. In my house, there are two generations. We can't understand each other, and possibly my wife and I, who are of the same generation, sometimes we don't understand each other, even then. But the key things we're drawing your attention to is that these will change the way businesses are run, and they are changing fundamentally the way in which businesses are run. And so organizations have got to be agile, resilient innovators. You cannot but respond rapidly to what is happening. You've got to be dynamic and flexible, and then you've got to also be proactive. So sometimes you're an innovator, you are making the change happen. Sometimes you are agile, the change is happening to you, but you are navigating through the change in a smooth and flexible way. Sometimes you are resilient, the change is hitting you hard, like a boxer being punched, but you don't fall down, but if you fall down, you beat the count also. That is what organizations are expected to be. And organizations are also expected to understand the ecosystems in which they inhabit and in which they operate. And so it's no longer about one organization doing everything. It's about organizations working in partnerships with others to deliver value for customers. And then they must also understand their business model and how their business models are in their ecosystem operate. So you've got to be able to define what value is and who you're providing value for, how you create value, how you deliver the value to the ones to whom you are delivering the value, and how you capture and share the benefits of value to all those who participate participated in creating the value, so you incentivize them to work with you further on. What are the challenges and responses of the finance function? So challenges of the finance functions, different expectations from different stakeholders. I'll just pick 4 at random. So the board is asking you to maximize shareholder value at minimum risk. Customers and vendors are asking finance to ensure that the organization has ease of doing business with customers at lower transaction costs. Business leaders are asking finance people to influence strategy and business decisions with real-time insight, not past insight. And then investors and analysts, I like this one. They're saying we should ensure predictable and sustainable profitable growth. Mind you, fast-paced disruption that is unpredictable. How do you make profit? How do you grow the profit? And how do you make it sustainable and predictable? Andrew says I'm not Mystic Meg, but accountants and finance people are beginning to verge on towards the magician, this thing. And then we also have to face the challenges and opportunities of automation. This is an example that we've used. One major organization who wanted to make their revenue forecasting system more efficient, used to do it with 16,000 workdays for finance profession. Now they use 4 workdays plus artificial intelligence. The likely displacement of human beings. But I realize that this is not a new issue. I have 3 photocopies of articles that our organization had before. In April 1928, the cost accountant, which is the precursor of financial management now, had an article that's machinery costs unemployment. That is one. You might want to have a look at that. And then in July 1932, the cost accountant, also the editorial, was about man and the machine. Some of the things I'm saying there has been said about 80 years ago. And then in September 1933, there was an article on mechanical accounting. By the way, it's not mechanical accounting as we know it, but accounting done by machines. So this has been an issue that mankind is facing. I guess I want to make 2 points over there. The first point is that our body and our organization have navigated these issues before, and we have been able to help businesses succeed, and we've been able to give careers to then cost and works accountants, now management accountants. We have a history and a track record of doing that, and we are going to continue to do that. You can trust us in the future for that. And the second thing is that nothing new has happened. And be sure that what is happening, other solutions can come. So let me go on. The shape of the finance function keeps evolving. So now the shape of the finance function is more the diamond shape. My children call it the coffin shape, where accountants will be put if they do not change what they do. And this is where at least there are 4 main things people do, and assembling data, generating insight, sharing the insight with others, and providing strategic leadership of the finance team. But how should the finance profession respond to these changes? We are hearing that we respond by enabling the organization to create and preserve value, shape how the organization creates and preserves value, and narrate, including authoring how the organization creates and preserves value. Now, this requires that finance transforms itself, because whenever there's change, a lot of the things you used to do becomes irrelevant, and you tend to then optimize the few ones that are relevant. But that is a short-term thing, because those that you optimize will become irrelevant until you're optimizing 0. And optimization of 0 is 0. And so most people choose diversification, bring in new things. But if you bring diversification and add it to old things, and you don't change your mindset about that, then you have a problem. And so transformation is what we talk about. And how do we transform? I argue that there are 4 ways in which we can transform. So I'll go through that very quickly. Finance has to move from a cost center to become a value center. Finance people should be authors and narrators of the values story. Finance should enable through control, and finance should be strategic partners. So let me spend about a minute each on that. For finance to move, finance as a cost center focuses on superior delivery, and the focus is on cost excellence, and it's on operational excellence. It's about economy and efficiency. Finance delivering superior value means that they are focusing on performance insight, and they are architects of future value. And it's about insight, it's about influence, it's about impact. Now, this is important because, you see, if you are classified as cost, you're in trouble. The strategic and instinctive behavior relating to cost is that people want to minimize cost. So if you are cost, you'll be minimized. You become minuscule. The strategic and instinctive behavior in relation to value is value maximization. If people find you valuable, then they'll maximize your service. But you just don't say, I've transferred myself from cost to value. And so this is how you do value, we think. As authors and narrators of the story, I say a few things over there. One is that we must bring clarity, clear. Two is that we tell the story differently. We can describe what is happening, we can tell why it is happening, we can say what would happen in the future and how the organization should take advantage of what is going to happen. And then we're also going to talk to many people about it. And the trick about this, in fact, the difficulty about this is that all of them are listening into the conversation. So you can't go and say one thing to one group and say another thing to another group. And these people often have conflicting challenges. The example I often give is, for the men over here, if you hear your wife and your mother arguing, please stay out of it. But if you are stupid enough not to stay out of it, and they come to you to adjudicate, and then you say, okay, what are you discussing? And say, two of us are swimming. We're going to drown. You can only save one person. Who are you going to save? Now, that's an ethical dilemma that you've got to resolve. And if you want to know how to resolve it, I will say it to you. I was going to give you the way in which I resolve it, but I hear this is streaming, and I don't know which people in my family would hear this. And a shout out to those in my family who are listening to this. I'm not saying anything about you over there. But in accounting, IIRC, International Integrated Reporting Council, through integrated reporting, is trying to look at some of these things, and our syllabus has something like that. And then often, finance people either are using data to communicate or to tell the story, or visuals, or narratives. And we're asking, you see, when you use narrative and data to tell the story, you're explaining. When you use visuals and data to tell the story, you're enlightening. And when you're using the narrative and visuals, if you like, you're engaging people. When you combine the three, you're creating a massive impetus for change in organizations. And I recommend that we use the three. So stories are quite important. Once somebody once said that stories are the currency of humanity, if you like, the social currency of humanity, and let's use that. The third one is enable through control. For those of you who don't know, this is a Formula One car. And the key thing is that the question that we ask ourselves is, which car would you drive fast? A car with excellent brakes or a car with faulty brakes? And this question is important because with finance people, our control system seems to act as brakes, and accelerators, the enablers in our control system are what will be equivalent to an accelerator in a car. Now, my original view was that a brake stops the car. But when I was asked this by an automotive engineer, I said, of course, I'll drive a car with excellent brakes fast. And he says, yes, you got it. So the function of the brake is not to stop the car. It is to enable you to speed. So your control systems as... Well, of course it is, isn't it? All you need is brakes and a radar system that allows you to detect what is happening. The better the brakes, the short the reaction time you need for that. And therefore, we use our control system to enable action and not to stop action. And indeed, as part of the research, we have helped some organizations to apply that in cost control, in credit control, and others, and they're seeing the benefits of it. Then we are hearing that finance people must move from be strategic partners, they move from navigator to co-pilot. Somebody asked me, what's the difference? The navigator just shows you where to go. When the pilot cannot fly the plane, the navigator is not called upon to fly the plane. The co-pilot is called to fly the plane. What it means is that finance people must see themselves as CEOs in waiting, and when the organizational plane cannot be flown by the CEO, the finance people should be able to step in and secure the mandate to run the organization until they become the pilot themselves or until a new pilot comes on. And therefore, finance people, yes, we ought to deal in information, but our currency mostly is in insight, it's in influence, and it's in impact. So let's say a few things about competencies and skills. People or machine. What finance will do would typically not change, but the argument is whether people or machines will do it. Sometimes machines have the advantage. Let the machines do that. Calculations, repetitive work, the kind of work that we don't want to do, the kind of work that actually dehumanizes you, let the machines do that. But understand what the machines can do. I see some friends of mine in one of our tuition providers. I spoke to them on Monday. I thought they were not listening to me, so I said, we don't need double entry bookkeeping and accounting. And you could see there's a whole row over there, you don't need double entry bookkeeping in accounting. With accountants, you can take their child, you can take their car, you can take their houses. You take double entry bookkeeping from them, you're in trouble. So there's a huge cultural shift that we need that. Machines can do that for us, but we've got to know what the machines can do. And then there are things that the human beings has an advantage. The human beings has an advantage, particularly in judgment. And there's a small principle in economics. If you take two products, this and this, assuming they are substitutes, if the price of one falls, the price of another, the other should fall. Because if they don't, this falls, and the price of this doesn't fall, most people will switch from here to here because they are substitutes. They compete with each other. But when they are complementary to each other, that you need this and this together. If the price of this falls, the price of this will go high. Because if the price of this falls, there'll be huge demand for this. People will buy it. But when they buy it, they need this. And therefore, there'll be huge demand for this, and price will have to go up. Now, let me bring it back to the human being and computer issue. Computers can do a lot of prediction and calculations. They can do the kind of judgment, the empathy, and things that human beings bring together. But you need that complementarily to be able to tell the story and move and make organizations benefit from that. So a lot of demand for data, etc., and the whisk is doing stuff, but a lot in bringing judgment. And judgment I call wisdom and bringing wisdom and perspective to the issue. And that is what we need over there. And then human beings can work with machines. This is, so in a digital world, technology is important, but people are even more important. This is a quote from Safrakat. The hardest part of digitally transforming a company is not the technology, it's the sociology, how people use it. And I argue, therefore, that the future is people collaborating intelligently with machines. And therefore, our competency framework looks at those ones. So you have technical skills. You still need a technical accounting skills applied in the business to influence people and lead the organization, but digital skills sit at the very center of it. And of course, all is about ethics, are wrapped around ethics, integrity, and professionalism. And so if I just give you an example of what our competency framework site looks like. So for business skills, you're talking about strategy, business models, your business ecosystems, etc. And for digital skills, you're talking about information and digital literacy, digital content creation, problem solving, data strategy and planning, data analytics, and data visualization. The CIMA professional qualification, let me just say a few things. We have three main levels of the CIMA professional qualification and three main pillars of the CIMA professional qualification. You study subjects and then you come to a capstone at each level with a case study and you do something with it. The qualification is matched to the shape of the finance function. And so this is the map for it. And new areas that we've introduced: data strategy, data analytics, data visualization, cybersecurity, the analysis of ecosystems, integrated reporting, business models, stuff on digital literacy, digital costing, and digital technologies. These were not in our syllabus for some of those things, but they are in the syllabus to a greater extent, even for those that were there in the past. We have developed new exam blueprints, which tries to provide a link between what students are saying and what organizations need. And we believe that it's a powerful tool to demonstrate employability. And indeed, it's an industry first, particularly outside of North America. And we commend that if you're tweeting, you use that. And the blueprints, for example, this is from our strategic level. We're saying to people, after you finish, what can you do? The 5 things over there, I can develop business strategy, I can evaluate business ecosystems in a business environment, I can recommend financing strategies, I can evaluate and mitigate risk, and I can recommend and maintain a sound control system. You can put this on your CV, and we guarantee that our exams would enable you to do that. So what happens to our members who have already completed the professional qualification? We heard about learn, unlearn, relearn. We are saying that we are providing our members with over 6 hours of free digital future-focused CPD, and this will be provided in segments throughout the year. So watch the space. For our members, they will get it for free once you've paid your 2019 subscription. So if you have not, please do. And if you know somebody who has not, please let the person do that. And the value is about £225. So 4 things to remember for me. The future of finance, the syllabus is based on future of finance research that is rigorous and robust. Number 2, the CIMA professional qualification is reinventing finance in a digital age. Number 3, the exam blueprints are a powerful tool to demonstrate employability. Number 4, our members will reap the benefits, so we are not leaving our members behind. Let me just end with a quotation by someone who says, some people make things happen, some people watch things happen, and then there are those who wonder what the hell just happened. We make things happen. Ladies and gentlemen, I recommend to you the CIMA professional qualification.
That was a special Friday Focus episode of the Go Beyond Disruption podcast. Find out more about the 2019 CIMA professional qualification and the updated CGMA competency framework at cimaglobal.com/future. You can also get our other podcasts free by searching online for Go Beyond Disruption podcast.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Beyond Disruption, brought to you by the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. Learn more about today's topic at aicpa-cima.com/disruption. This podcast is designed to provide illustrative information with respect to the subject matter covered and does not represent an official opinion or position of the AICPA or AICPA.org. It is provided with the understanding that the AICPA and AICPA.org are not engaged in offering legal, accounting, or other professional service. If such advice or expert assistance is required, the services of a competent professional person should be sought. The AICPA and AICPA.org make no representations, warranties, or guarantees as to, and assume no responsibility for, the content or application of the material contained herein, and especially disclaim all liability for any damages arising out of the use of, reference to, or reliance on such material.